Oh, they're so important because I think to your point, Lisa, particularly the media and stuff, it's all negative. It's all about how bad everything is and how bad everybody is and how bad our society is and all that. And it's like, it's not. Are there bad elements? Sure, there are. But there's way more good elements and there's way more good people.
Welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe, where we pour positive back into your day, sharing stories from real people who have made it through some real struggles, but were able to restore their health, hope, and peace. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and as a certified coach, I'm here to guide you to be your best self-advocate, to help you restore your health, ignite your faith, and conquer those fears while you navigate your own healing journey so you can eventually exchange your dis-ease for durability. If you're looking for hope and encouragement to live a life you love, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe. We have a great episode for you today. We're going to dive into a few different topics, including how to make small improvements for your health and for your business, the joy and the value that we get from volunteering and giving back, and how you can help keep yourself positive when your job search or life challenges start to show up. I'm also going to give you a tiny little behind the scenes of what happened here right before I officially welcomed you to the program. You see, today, I have a very good friend with me on my program, and this particular friend has just a way of making me laugh. I hope you have a friend like that. We all need one like that. On the day of this interview, we started the interview like I do all my interviews. I get connected with my guest and I hit record, then we chat just for a little bit to, warm out and kind of get the bugs out before we begin. Problem with this particular interview was Skip had me laughing so hard that I could barely speak. Like when I laugh really hard, it's all just air. I don't make any noise. So when you get into that kind of giggle mode, well, sometimes it's like the kids in school. It's hard to regain your composure and stop laughing. So anyway, I thought you might get a giggle out of this first couple of minutes. So it's kind of like a little mini blooper reel. So let's take a look and a listen. So
I love this whole thing, the Sunshine Cafe. What a phenomenal idea.
Thank you.
Love it.
It's a labor of love. It really is. It's a labor of love. Oh my goodness. It's just, I lost your camera. It's your camera.
Oh, it just went on to, what? That doesn't happen. It just flipped onto off. Huh.
It flipped. It flipped
on and off.
So while Skip is patiently waiting, I am, on the other hand, on the other side, laughing so hard that I am not able to actually say anything.
Leave it to mine to flip
as
down.
Tears are rolling down my face. And that is what is in this dead space right now, that you're not hearing anything. Am I going to be able to interview you?
None of the spindrift through your nose, please. That would not be.
And more crazy, ridiculous laughter.
That would not be along the line
to interviewing you. Oh my goodness. Woo! Can I change the shade, the pink, the shade, the red of my face in my post interview edits? I'm going to start this interview and be like, why is she crying? Oh my goodness. Hilarious.
We have had some good laughs over the years. That is for sure. Lots of laughter, which is fun.
Lots of laughter.
Never too much of that, right?
Makeup. Can I have a... I don't have anybody doing my makeup. Chop, James.
Chop. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we actually start this thing then, you look a little crooked. Is your camera crooked or is...
Oh, it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I really...
That is so much better, though. I can't edit that in the video.
Is that better?
That's perfect.
Okay.
You'll look a little crooked. All right.
I've heard worse.
Okay. Let me compose myself one more time. All right. Well, that was fun. Man, I could just not stop laughing. I hope you enjoyed those couple of moments laughing at me. Okay, my friend, let me tell you about Skip Nelson. After he graduated from University of Minnesota, unlike maybe some parents who may be less than excited to have their kiddos back from college, camping out in their basement playing video games, Skip moved back to his home and lived in his parents' basement, but he started his first business there called Quantum Companies, which, unlike maybe some of those great high-scoring video games, Quantum Companies actually grew to be a multi-million-dollar business. Then Skip turned his experiences and passions to help others into another business as a national speaker, a trainer, and he's taught state-certified continuing education classes for thousands of business professionals. He was also featured in various media outlets, including the New York Times, CBS and ABC Television, and Minnesota Public Radio. Skip has enjoyed consulting individuals and small businesses, helping them plan and exceed their financial goals, and he loves helping others learn how to execute simple tweaks which compound to affect massive change in his clients' lives and in their businesses. With his most recent entrepreneurial endeavor called Business Breakthroughs, Skip coaches small businesses and serves as their profit acceleration specialist. We could all use one of those. Skip and his beautiful wife, Susan, are friends of mine and live just a couple of zip codes away from me. I'm real excited to have him on the program, and I think you're going to enjoy the conversation too. So let's dive in. All right, welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe. I am so excited to have seriously one of my dear friends with us today. We interview a lot of people here on Sunshine Cafe, and I've had a lot of friends join me over the last few months. But my friend today, Skip Nelson, who is joining me, has been a dear friend of mine for 35 years, which is crazy because I don't think I'm that old. So
No, met you at 4. So,
yes. So Skip Nelson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lisa. It is so much a pleasure to be part of the Sunshine Cafe. I love what you do, bringing sunshine and positivity, which we so need in this world. So it is a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you. I have looked forward to this conversation. And for the listeners, Skip and I were just sitting here chatting a little bit before we got going. And I had to compose myself 3 or 4 times because he had me laughing so hard I was in tears. So we'll have to just see how this interview goes. If I lose it, I may have to pause and come back. But there's a phrase somewhere out there, Skip, and I don't even know who said it, but it's something about how if you want to create fast friends that last a lifetime, endure tragedy with them or something tragic.
Amen.
And I had, through various unexpected circumstances, was asked to be the president and chairman of the board of an organization that is truly dear to both your and my heart. Mine because it made a huge impact in my early adult years, and yours because your dad was founder of the organization, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. And the organization we're talking about is the Aquatennial. That's the Minneapolis Aquatennial. It's a festival, for those of you who don't know. It's a civic festival to celebrate the city of Minneapolis and all its amazing lakes. And it, in its heyday, had hundreds of events, and we had presidents that were riding in our parade. And so think of it a little bit like the Rose Parade or something like that. Just really an amazing festival to celebrate all the goodness of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. You and I got to take that organization to a different level and put together some programs and make it into a 501c3 so young ladies early in their career could really build themselves up to know how to put their best foot forward for different career opportunities that they had. And it was a lot of fun.
And if I may say, because I know you won't say this, but the organization had gone through a lot of changes and it was on the verge of going away. And for a lot of us, that would have been heartbreaking. It had been around since the 40s and free, family, fun, clean, good, just family activities. And it was on the verge of going away. And had not Lisa and some others stepped up, it would have gone away. And she raised her hand and took over leading the organization for 2 years in a row. Normally it's a 1-year endeavor. She did it for 2 and provided incredible leadership. But Lisa was willing to raise her hand and kind of come back, not in the parades and all the fun stuff, but really roll up her sleeves and do a lot of really hard work. And the festival is still going strong today. That wouldn't have happened had Lisa not stepped up. So on behalf of everyone, including me, certainly, thank you for all you did, Lisa.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're very kind. And I never would have said all of that. You're right. Because although I forget who asked me, but somebody had asked me to take on that role. And when I thought about it, I was like, how could I not? It was such an instrumental piece to me being able to step out and find my confidence and find what I wanted to do in the world. And so it was my opportunity to give back, and it was my honor. And I certainly didn't do it all on my own. It was like I was just the organizer, making it messy and trying to get it done, but not getting it done perfectly.
I like herding cats at times, I'm sure, but
Well, and if anybody out there has ever had to manage volunteers, it is a challenge because they're only there because they want to be. And if you don't organize them well, they won't be there. They don't show up for a paycheck. So it is a challenge. But oh my goodness, we could talk for probably hours just about Aquatennial and all the amazing things. I was thinking about that this morning, Skip, and just how, so the festival started in 1942, and you were a young guy, and your dad was in the
Not in 1942.
Oh, no, I mean, sorry.
Thank you. Let's clarify here. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Sorry.
Goodness gracious. You
20
put
years.
about 40 years.
Let me reinsert in there. It's
Thank you.
20 years into the throes of the festival. You were a young guy.
Okay, re-edit.
Chop. So once it had reached about 20, 30 years into its festival success, you were a young guy and you were growing up in this heyday of this Aquatennial. Do you have some key memories, some moments that you can share with us?
I remember my father, as one of the founders, was always around and passionate about, because it started a bunch of business folks way back in the day had gone, I think, to Canada to see the King of England, and thought that if a bunch of people are going to come out and freeze their hind ends off in the middle of the winter, if people would really go outside to see this king and just watch him wave or whatever, there's got to be something there. And we've got the City of Lakes. So why don't we come back and kind of develop a festival to celebrate that for families and all that? So, and it was a big deal. They had top movie stars come and huge events and all. But I do remember one of the events my father had gotten started was something called Legislators Day. And it's something that they would host frequently at the Leamington Hotel, which is long since gone. But it invited legislators from all over the state to come down for lunch. It was typically prior to the Grand Day Parade, which was on a Saturday. They had this big luncheon, hundreds of people, and everybody who was somebody was there, including former Senator and former Vice President Hubert Humphrey. He would always come and he would always wear a white suit. And I was just a little guy, but my dad introduced me. And I remember him saying, I've got a son named Skip. And he does, and he became Minnesota Attorney General years later, and all that. But I just remember meeting this man and thinking, "Wow, this kind of a lot of fun memories."
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And that was just the first, because I know you were involved for so many years. And actually, when I participated as a young 17-year-old, I think I was, and I first got exposed to the events. And you were a driver, I think.
Well, and Lisa, I want to make it clear that, in college and stuff, I was a giver. So it was important to me to volunteer to drive around a bunch of queens and princesses. In college, it's tough duty as a college guy to do this, to be around these beautiful women. But at any rate, I joke, but as a college kid, there's not a much better job than to be around all these beautiful
Completely
ambassadors.
sacrificial on your part there, Skip.
I'm a giver. Yeah, what can I say?
Totally giver.
I give and give and give. 50 women from all over the state competing in a scholarship program. It is all based on interview skills and all that, and incredible development. And I think it's sad, a lot of times people would just say, oh, it's a beauty contest. And it's like, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with that. And the thing that I saw, particularly being involved year after year, where you would see these young women competing, that they would come from these small towns like you, Lisa, right? From up in northern Minnesota, the little dicky town was a big deal just to come to the big city. And they were a Miss Granite Falls or a Miss whoever. And so they had already gone through competitions and stuff and made speeches and interviews in their community. And they were coming then to compete at Aquatennial. So these were already kind of the best of the best. And to see in the communities the development from when they were crowned to go through the year of having to go into a room and make speech in front of a bunch of adults they don't know, or just work a room and shake hands, and
Right.
the skills that they will have going into a job first interview.
Mhm.
And then the ones that came to Aquatennial going through that experience there, and then the development that you saw in these incredible young women. I mean, brilliant, involved in their communities, sports, captains of teams, and just incredibly impressive. And to see what they're able to do in life, whether it's as a mom or a teacher or a lawyer or whatever they end up doing,
Mhm.
uh, I've never been so encouraged about society and the world as it being in good hands than seeing these incredible young women from just all over the place and very different beginnings. And that stuck with me every year. I never ceased to be amazingly.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I remember so clearly year after year going to the coronation, the event where they choose the next representatives for the organization, the ambassadors, and every one of those 50 candidates would get up to the microphone and they would say who they are, where they're from, what they're studying, and what they're going to do. And I'm telling you, after you hear 50 of these amazing young future leaders, you hear 50 of those people tell you all the things they've accomplished and the amazing things that they're going to do. It's a bit humbling. Kind of
Yes.
makes you want to get up and start doing something with your life. And I think
Yeah.
that is the value of a role model. Like, where do you find your role models anymore?
Yeah.
Where do your little girls
They're
and little
there.
boys look to?
They're there.
They are, but
Yeah.
they're harder to find.
They are hard to find. They are.
And they're
But
important, aren't they?
oh, they're so important because I think to your point, Lisa, that there's so much, particularly the media and stuff, it's all negative. It's all about how bad everything is and how bad everybody is and how bad our society is and all that. And it's like, it's not. Are there bad elements? Sure, there are. But there's way more good elements and there's way more good people
Mm.
and people that care about other people and people that want to help other people. I know in my life, we all go through challenges and I found that in the most challenging times, a lot of times is where you see it the most, right? When everything's going great and, you think, oh, I'm good on my own, right? I don't really need anybody or whatever. But you get knocked down for whatever, whether it's career or a health issue or whatever. And then people kind of step up and maybe people you wouldn't even expect. It's maybe
Yeah.
people you don't really even know super well, but they're there. They show up with a meal or an encouraging word or whatever it might be. And it's like, you know what? Uh, we're going to be okay. There's way more good people than there are not. Uh, Sometimes it just takes challenge to find it.
Yeah, and I think there's good reasons for that. Just take your own little neighborhood. When your next door neighbor, things are good. I mean, you don't want to necessarily knock on the door every other day and say, "Hey, can I get you a meal? Can I bring you a meal? I know things are okay with you, but could I mow your lawn for you?"
Right.
It's a little bit inappropriate to ask
Hmm.
somebody that kind of question then. But when you
Yep.
know they have a need, you almost have an open door to say,
Yep.
"Hey, I know you have a need. Can I help you?" And so I think you're right that you do need those hardships to open the door to say, "I would love some help."
Yeah. And to your point, Lisa, I think something that I learned, we had a health issue with my son early on, and people would reach out very kindly and say, anything you need, you let me know. I'll do whatever, anything you need.
Nice.
And I know I've said the same thing to myself, meaning it, to somebody that has gone through something and said, hey man, anything you need. And I would do anything. They might mow their lawn or bring them a meal or whatever. I'll do it. But the thing that I found when people said that to me was that I'm not going to ask because that kind of puts the burden on me. Right. And I don't feel comfortable doing that, even though they're being so kind. And so the thing that I learned is don't offer, just do it.
Oh,
Because I found that people would they just make a meal. Or I had a friend that just paid for snow removal service for that winter to just, you don't have to worry about that. It's done.
yep. Yep,
Or
done.
somebody said, we're sending somebody over to clean your carpet. And they just did it.
Hmm.
And they're like, wow, thank you so much. But if somebody put the burden on me to ask them to do something, I'm not going to do it.
So true.
I just don't feel comfortable doing it. And so I learned that I'm not going to say that anymore. If I'm just going to identify something I think it might be helpful, I'm just going to, and they'll appreciate it,
Mhm.
but they won't ask probably. And so I've tried to be more mindful about that myself. Is I'll just try to figure out something that maybe it's a meal or a flowers or whatever. Just it doesn't have to be a big deal, but I'll identify something. I'll just do it.
Exactly, exactly. And that opens the door too. I love what you were saying about that because if you, for example, bring a meal over and you're handing them the meal and you say, "Hey, is there anything else I can help you with?" In that moment, they may say, "Well, yeah, since you mentioned it, I could use some help with the lawn,"
Yep.
or I got to go to an appointment tomorrow and the dog needs to be watched. Could you help with that?" But they
Yep.
won't like just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, remember 9 months ago when you said you might help me with something?"
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
They won't. People are sheepish sometimes about just doing stuff or whatever. And the thing that I've found is a lot of times it does it feel good when you do something for someone? And then people say, well, yeah, it feels great. It's like, well, don't take that away from someone else. if they want to do something nice for you, give them that privilege, because they'll have that same feeling of being helpful and joyful and just feeling like they made a difference. And so it's easy. I know for myself, it's much easier to give than it is to receive.
Mhm.
And I kind of have tried to look at it that way, that if I don't allow someone to do something for me, I'm taking away that enjoyment that I know I would get if they allowed me to do something for them. And so I try to be open to that, so they have that joy too.
It's a huge part of our human nature. I think we need to serve other people. We need to serve in general. We're genetically programmed to serve something. There's so much talk now these days about the rise in depression and the rise in all these different ailments. And I think if you look back on, to your point exactly, Skip, people who are giving and regularly volunteering and making a difference in someone else's life, or a spouse who's taking care of another spouse, how many stories have we heard where when the spouse passes, the other spouse passes
Yep.
because their purpose to help and to contribute and to serve has been removed.
Yep.
So many times if we're stuck in that, just for any listeners out there who are dealing with depression or issues like that,
Yep.
just getting out of your own circle and serving someone else can really bring that kind of a joy that is, gosh, you just can't emulate that any other way except for doing it.
So true. I volunteer. I'm on the volunteer staff of Grace Church and Wooddale Church for their job transition programs, people looking for work. Then I went through it myself. It was by choice that I decided to get out of my business and do something else. And I just thought, because I'm so incredible, that people would just be knocking down my door to hire me. And they weren't. And then I'm like, well, because it just never occurred to me that wouldn't just happen. And I'm like, well, now what? And then you kind of self-doubt. Well, it's like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, and maybe my skills aren't really valued. And I found that I got real negative on myself. And the process of job transition can be brutal, just brutal. And but the one thing that I found along the lines of what we were just talking about as far as give back is that, and even statistically speaking, it's borne out that people that volunteer that are in job transition have a 27% higher rate for those that do not.
Wow.
And looking at why, to me, because I know there were times in my job transition that I just felt like a useless piece of garbage. I'm not, nobody wants me. I'm not earning the money I normally do. I'm just like, I'm worthless. But I found that when I volunteered, I didn't feel useless. I knew I was doing something helpful, and I was providing value, and I was helping someone, and I felt good about myself. And then when I went on a job interview or whatever, I'm like, I'm carrying myself better. So you can see why it would literally have a positive effect on a job search just by volunteering and giving back, because you're getting a better mindset,
Yeah.
because you're coming from a standpoint of giving and value that you're providing. That if you just sit there and wallow and, well, I'm not getting hired, and there's somebody else ghosted me and they're not getting back to me on the application or whatever, it's just going to be all negative and bad, and you're not going to represent well. So give back is so valuable at many levels.
Yeah. So true. There's so many conversations these days about energy and how much energy matters and mindset matters. And to your point, when you are contributing and you're offering things back, you're getting energy poured back into you as well. And like you said, I feel valuable because I'm making a difference somewhere, even though it's not necessarily for my family because I'm not providing monetarily yet. I'm making a difference over here. And so you're right that your whole energy level is different because you're walking into that interview saying, I'm capable and I'm serving and I'm making a difference. Maybe this is a season in my life where I just get to volunteer. And
Yep.
wouldn't have maybe even had that opportunity if I wasn't laid off or having this job change. So you're
Yep.
right. Your whole interview aura is a whole different thing. So that's a really good point. And not that we need to stay back on the aquatennial thing, but I do want to jump back to that because what you said about the value of volunteering,
Yeah.
so important. And I think a lot of people look at festivals like that. I think, oh, it's only for the people who are involved. And the people who, yes, great for those 50 gals who are getting career training and all those experiences and maybe the top echelon of dignitaries who are working through it, but nobody else gets value. Oh my goodness. Couldn't be further from the truth, right?
Oh, yeah. And,
Or-
the thing I found in life is it's really about networking, whether it's job search or business or sales or whatever, it's about networking.
Yeah.
And because you never know who might be able to help you, but you also never know who you might be able to help. And the more people we're connected with, the more chance that you'll have a connection that can help either way, right? And yeah, I found in festival volunteering, you're surrounded by just a bunch of good folks. They're community oriented. They like to give back. They're kind of family focused type people generally.
Hmm.
And I met just some of the most wonderful people.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Yeah.
met you. I met my wife.
Yes,
I
you're
met,
amazing,
just
right?
amazing people that I wouldn't have met were it not been volunteering at a festival.
Right. You
And
think
and
about those people who every single one of those people is getting energized because they're volunteering
you
and they're
know,
learning new skills because they're running the milk carton boat race that they never knew anything about, or they're
yep,
running the sandcastle competition, which they didn't know about. And they're
yep,
visiting dignitaries that come into town. And you just start thinking about all the ways that people are engaging and using multiple talents.
yep.
And I don't know about you, but since the whole pandemic thing and we're all mostly focused here at home doing our jobs, it's a little hard to network when you're sitting in front of a computer screen.
Yes,
You don't really meet that
true.
many people.
It's
I mean,
true.
you can, through different groups and whatnot, but it's not like walking into a room of 500 people and being able to just meet them and see what they look like and, feel their energy and
Yep.
see their smile and all of
You
that.
know, well, it's so true. And it's just about meeting people and connecting because you never know. You never know how you might be able to bless that person with a smile
Mhm.
or a kind word
Yeah.
or a connection or whatever. You just don't know what they're going through. Found that in life too, is that you never know. You never know what people. I use it with somebody that you know well, Barbara Burwell and Rod Burwell, and this story comes to me a lot because you'd look at this Rod Burwell. He marries Miss USA, former Miss USA from Minnesota, Barbara Burwell. Marries her. They have three strapping, great-looking boys.
All dark and
Live in a
handsome.
multi-million dollar house on Lake Minnetonka. He's got a corporate jet. He's a pilot. He's got businesses super successful. You think this guy has got everything in the world, just doesn't have a
Got it
care in
all
the
figured
world.
out. Yep.
You have no idea that Rod Burwell had previously been married and he had two daughters, and his wife and daughters were killed in his corporate jet that went down. Had unspeakable tragedy that he had to deal with. But from that, he gave a sermon speech at the dedication. He dedicated at Christ Presbyterian Church a chapel and a pipe organ
Mm,
to his family and his wife and daughters.
mm.
And he gave remarks that I got a copy of from Barbara. The most amazing comments that, I mean, I hope I would respond the way he did, but I could see myself being really angry and like in a fetal position, like I quit. How do you lose a child or two children, but not your whole family's gone? And he was so positive and leaned into his faith hard and made positive out of it and donated and volunteered and then volunteering at a Bible study, ends up meeting Barbara
Oh,
and then gets married and has a wonderful life too. But the point is, you had no idea
no.
what he went through looking at this perfect, Hollywood existence that it
Mhm.
appeared to be. So we never know, So
No.
getting back to, so if you can just kind word or a smile to anybody, you talk about Sunshine Cafe and spreading positivity. That's critical because you don't know that just the smallest little thing might be the thing that makes that person able to get through the day, or might just put a smile on their face or make them happy or feel good about themselves.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
so critical.
Yeah, there are storms raging. There are storms raging 2 inches behind so many smiling eyes, where they put on the good facade and they look great and they look like there's nothing wrong, or they post all of their great, perfect pictures out on Facebook. But just 2 inches behind those eyes, they're struggling with infertility, or they're struggling with a sick child, or they're dealing with clinical depression and they just can't get themselves out of bed in the morning, except for the
Yeah.
one picture they got. They took the one picture and went back. You're right. There's so much going on out there, and just being extra kind and considerate and encouraging, smile to somebody and, asking them really, how you doing today? Everything all right? Sending them a text message saying, hey, haven't talked to you for a while. How's everything going in your world? Really makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
So are you comfortable talking about your family?
Of course.
Excellent.
That's my best feature.
Your best feature. I got to meet
I outkicked my coverage. There's no question there.
I got to meet beautiful Susan before you guys were even dating, and she is amazing. She is one of those just amazing people who just has so much drive and such a big heart to make a difference in the world.
Yep.
And I just couldn't think of a better other half for you.
Yeah,
She's just amazing.
she is. And she took a leap. She'd been in the corporate world her whole career, and her background is on child and family therapy. And she decided that it had always been her dream to start her own practice. And she just felt that it was time to do it. And she took the dive, which is risky. As an entrepreneur, I know it's pretty nice having a paycheck every 2 weeks and all.
Yeah.
And as an
Golden
entrepreneur,
handcuffs.
you don't have that guarantee. But she just felt it was the time. And she did. She started her own practice, and it is what she is designed to do. She is so good at it.
Mm,
It's primarily virtual, which, is nice that she's able to help a lot more people that way.
sure.
But it's just been a joy to watch her lean into really, I believe, what God intended her to do with the incredible skills that she has
Yeah.
and the fulfillment that she gets from that, knowing that she's making a difference on these lives of these kids frequently, but others too. So yeah, that's really been a joy for me to watch because I'm so proud of what she's done and built and continues to build.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she took the risk. She could have stayed in a corporate job the rest of her career, always kind of wanting to have her own practice, but it's risky. And you can always come up with a lot of reasons why not to, right? And she just decided, nope, it's time and make it work. And
Yeah.
she has. And
Yeah.
just couldn't be prouder.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well spoken as a loving husband that you just couldn't be more proud of her. I love that. And I know your story so well. And I know that you and Susan went through a lot of really difficult challenges. Even in the midst of starting a business, you have been almost your whole life been basically an entrepreneur, starting a business in your parents' basement way back when. And so maybe for our listeners who are out there and who are struggling with maybe a sickness themselves or a sick child or something, how do you balance the reality of dealing with your family's concerns as well as building a business? How do you do that at the same time?
Good question. And I will say, Lisa, that my faith has been critical in that journey. And I don't know how people handle some of the things that life throws at us without faith because I can't on my own. I grew up with a nephew. They were 6 months apart. We grew up like brothers. I lost him at 30. It was really the first peer that I lost. It was my brother. But God showed up and was there. I lost my dad at 26, my mom at 40. And I was super close to my mom. Most difficult thing probably you can identify with this, Lisa, to go through to lose a parent. But I felt my faith there. I felt God's presence there.
Yeah.
Alone, I think I'd be in a fetal position and, just ticked off. It's not fair, whatever. And there were times, I'm not going to lie, and challenges in life where I was angry and whatever, but the faith kind of pulled me back and God was always there. And then Susan and I had infertility issues and struggled with that. And you see these other people getting pregnant and, so happy for them. And then you're like, oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, that's
Where you-
that's the storm I was talking about. 2 inches behind the smiling
yeah,
eyes when you're
that
when you're
you're saying,
congratulating.
oh, so happy for you. No, this, um, but you
it's
get
so
there
true,
and
it's so real, right?
I'm not proud of that fact, but there were times where we're happy and it's like, can you believe that? Somebody sneezes and gets pregnant and we're trying everything in the kitchen sink, whatever. So, that was hard. And is this not the plan? And we were blessed with our son Asher and so thrilled, this healthy little boy. And then he started about age 1 having fevers that weren't related to colds. It were just very strange. And so I went to the pediatrician and she had worked at Children's in oncology.
Okay.
And that was an indicator of a possible problem. And so we went in for testing. And so then you're getting worried, like, well, what do you mean? And so waiting, I remember, I'll never forget, I was on the 7th floor of the Children's Hospital and we had actually had the tests. And we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And I see the doctor, the oncologist, walking down the hall, and kind of breath got taken away. And he walked into the room. I get choked up still. Said, your son's got cancer. It's leukemia. And he's healthy. He's a healthy 8-year-old now, but it's still hard. Because had he not gotten treatment, he would have died. Had he been born 30 or 40 years ago, they wouldn't have had the treatment and he would have died. But because they did, and because we're blessed to have incredible medical people here at Children's Hospital, he went through treatment, which was not fun. It was hell.
Oh my,
Seeing your little guy full of steroids, his head swelled up. He fell over. He couldn't even sit up anymore. He had to relearn to walk, and he had neuropathy and had to have leg braces. And just seeing what your kids suffer, going through that was just, as a parent, you just want to protect your kid, right?
right.
And but he made it through, and he's perfectly healthy, no indications of any illness anymore. And but our faith got us through, and a lot of people that were kind and doing the things we've talked about just how you doing, and here's a meal or whatever it was. So it was our faith really that got us through that. And we feel blessed. We were blessed with a second child, Margaret, we call Maisie, who's 3. You know, I'm old, and so I've got an 8 and a 3-year-old. So I kind of get both kid and grandchild at the same time, really. Don't have to live to see great. I kind of, and I get both. Oh, so nice to be with your grandkids. And I'm like, so.
Oh,
And my dad got the same thing because he had me late. But we don't know what God's plan is. You know, this has not unfolded any way that I could have imagined, but it's exactly as it should have been. And I've been so blessed and so privileged to be a parent and a husband, but I didn't know if I ever would. And you just don't know what blessings are just around the corner out of tragedy. Susan's now a volunteer at Make-A-Wish, and we were blessed with a wish, went to Disney with both our kids, delayed because of COVID, a couple of years, but she now gives back at Make-A-Wish and has that joy, helping these kids and families kind of go through this with just another person with some little kindness or card or whatever.
Yeah.
So we never know what life was unfold. But for me, it's been faith and family and friends that have gotten me through.
Yeah. Well, and Susan and you both now have such a unique experience to come alongside those other families, because it's one thing to have somebody sit in front of you and go, I can't imagine how hard that would be, versus someone sitting in front of you and going, I know exactly how hard that is.
Yep. It
that.
sucks.
Yeah.
You know, you can be real straight about it. There's no putting lipstick on a pig on some of this stuff. And people that just say, oh, you know, it'll be fine and blah, blah. It's like, no, I don't want to hear that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I believe we'll be fine. But right now, I don't want to hear that. Just kind of be with me and let me be angry, or let me vent, or let me be sad.
Yes. Right.
But that's okay too, because we got through that and it came out better than I could have imagined. Pretty much in every instance I found in life where I was frustrated and depressed or angry or whatever, job came out better than I could have imagined. Marriage, better than I could have imagined. Kids, better than I could imagine. Sickness with the kids, better than I could, So a lot of times we don't know when we're going through the midst of it, where it just seems hopeless and like, oh goodness, another punishment almost, it feels like at some point, but there is a plan, and we just have to keep moving forward and do our best to be positive and learn, maybe.
Yeah.
Continue to give back to others when we need it.
Right.
That'll help too. And I found that I've come out better as a man, as a person, for every of these experiences that I've been through in life. And Lisa, unfortunately, I found that the things that I have learned and grown by far the most from have been the worst things I've been through.
Yeah.
Death, sickness, the worst stuff have shown my faith more to me and God's presence more to me. And it's also just that I've grown as a person most. It's too bad. It'd be nice if it was just so we grew the most from all the fun stuff. Woo! And
let's go to Disney again.
Yeah, let's just keep going to Disney, and everything's good. But it's not that way, and I think it's designed that way, and that makes it even better, right? You make it through. It's like the run marathon. I've never run a marathon. It's 26 miles long, driving car, much less run. But Susan's run a couple of them. But it's like, it's painful and awful, but you get through, and unless you've done it, what a cool feeling that must be, right? That I'll never feel. But, you get through the tragedy, and the joy of that triumph is unlike anything else.
Yes. And it's not just the joy, it's the fact that when you come out the other side, you're actually a different person.
Amen.
You're a different person. I've interviewed so many beautiful souls on this program already, and they wouldn't have chosen their hard,
Right.
but they would
Nope,
never
of
have
course not.
exchanged it for what they went through, because they're a different person now, and they've got different, like you said, it ended up being so much better in the end, but getting through it in the midst of the storm, it's so hard and angering and frustrating and scary and all
Oh,
of that. Yeah.
so true. So true.
So little Asher, who's not little anymore, but how's
No,
he
he's
doing now?
big 8-year-old now.
Big 8-year-old. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and Maisie? She's doing well?
She's fine. She is, it's interesting, different kids, same parents, same house, same everything. And it's like very different. Asher's kind of firstborn, rule follower, pretty low key. Maisie is, as Susan puts it, she has big emotions.
Mm.
That's a nice way to put it. She's a woman on a mission. We don't always know what the mission is, but she's on it.
Oh my God.
She's very strong-willed, has really got an idea about how everything should be. And from a 3-year-old's perspective, that can be interesting to navigate sometimes.
Yeah.
But I find it, you'll
Pretty
appreciate this, Lisa, but isn't it true that the characteristics that can be the most difficult to parent, like stick-to-itiveness, not taking no for an answer, curiosity, just question after question after question after question, can be really challenging to parent, but it'll serve them well in life if you can live through it.
Yes.
It will, in the long run, serve them well, but can be challenging at times.
Yes.
So she's just a joy. And this the simple things in life. I didn't know if I'd be blessed with kids or not, but I mean, I'll tell you, one of the greatest joys of my life Asher was about 3, and we were in an airport, and I went to use the restroom, and I was just walking back to the area where Susan and Asher were staying. As a little 3-year-old, I was gone for 5 minutes. He looks over and he sees me coming, and his face just lit up, and he said, "Daddy," and he ran as fast as he could into my arms. And I will never forget that as long as I live. It was one of the greatest joys of my life. And it's just, what small little things could we just bypass and not, being an older parent, I'm trying to be mindful about every little thing and not missing anything, and what things can we, even when things are tough, do we miss?
Right.
I will never forget that as long as I live, that feeling.
Yeah.
And
you know what? If you had walked out of the restroom and you were busy sunken into your phone
in my phone or whatever, would have not even seen
would
it.
have missed the whole thing. Yeah. You do have to be alert, at least intentionally looking for the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, and I have to say, I was going to say this earlier when you were talking about sweet little Macy. I have a feeling that your parents had a very similar concern when they were raising you, my friend.
I don't know that would be accurate, Lisa. That sounds exactly like something that Susan would say.
It's because you're curious, because you are a go-getter, because you have so much in you to share with the world. And I can see why Macy picked that up from her daddy.
Yeah, I was, I probably was challenging to raise it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about all those ways that you're giving back to the world, because you're using all of those, the curiosity and the excitement and the motivation, and I don't take no for an answer. And you're using all of those skills I see some little books here hiding behind you. Tell us a little bit about, with this whole entrepreneurial journey that both you and your beautiful wife are undergoing, you're moved into kind of a coaching role, but for business owners. Can you tell us a little bit about that new endeavor? Well, it's not new, but newish.
Yeah, something I'm really excited about. I've had people approach me over the years just because of the business that I built, and just, what do you think about this or whatever? And it's been fun to just provide counsel or whatever I can provide. But I wanted to provide a little more than just my opinion. And so I hooked up with an organization that has some software that really looks for profit in small businesses. And it's unlike anything I've ever seen. And And through them, I've written or co-written a number of books on business growth because I like to joke in some parts of my business career, I was an unintentional nonprofit. And that's not where you want to be. Um, so I found that there were times where I generated revenue, but I didn't make any money.
Mm.
And that's different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've really focused my coaching on helping businesses to find little areas that they can improve to have a big difference. Analogy, if I can use it, Lisa, I'll ask the viewers a question. Would you rather like a penny doubled every day for 30 days? So 1 penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, penny doubled every day for 30 days, or this bag full of $250,000? No, you don't know where I live, so too bad. But would you rather? Would you rather have just, so I'll pose that question, I'll pause 2, 3, 4, and then I'll answer it, depending upon what you would pick. Win either way, but the best choice, if you want to get the most, would be the penny doubled every day for a month. Because if you just make small incremental changes and let compounding work a little by little by little by little, this little penny at the end of 30 days turns into $5.3 million.
Wow.
And that's so whether as a financial advisor or as a business coach, coaching businesses on how to grow, really what we're talking about is looking for small incremental change and little small bits that we can make improvement and compounding. We're kind of letting things roll and work for us. And so I found that's a key in a lot of small businesses, that they're looking for the home run and the big change or whatever. And a lot of times it's just looking for very key areas that we can make just small incremental improvement
Yes.
to maybe what we're already doing that can result in massive profit increases.
Yes.
And that's really what's fun.
Yes. Well, and that is completely applicable. By the way, I need one of those big, huge, enormous pennies. For those of you who can't see Skip and they're just listening to the audio, he's holding up a penny that's about the size of a small salad plate. Anyway, but that's the same kind of thing we talk about health and wellness on Sunshine Cafe as well. And people are like, oh, I can't lose the 50 pounds, or I'm so out of shape, there's no way I could get to whatever, or I'm too old to do fill in the blank. But the same advice that you're giving your business clients is advice that all of us can follow. No,
Yep.
I can't do the marathon, but I could walk around the block and
Yep.
then, or maybe not even around the block, to the end of the driveway and back. And then maybe tomorrow I'll go into the driveway plus 10 feet. It's that
Yes.
penny by penny, small little incremental
Yes.
improvements.
You know, somebody said, a penny for your thoughts, right? Or you got to put in your 2 cents. Somebody made a penny there. Somebody made a penny in that transaction somehow. But the point is, it doesn't take much.
Right.
You know, if we can just find some little thing in our life that we can just make a very small improvement,
Mhm.
couple steps or a kind word or a smile or whatever, we just, for that second, it compounds. And I've found massive change emotionally, but massive change in hard cash, money, business, by just looking at very small things that we can make just a slight improvement on. It
Nice.
can add up to massive change.
So if we can make such massive improvements with such tiny little incremental changes, what do you think it is that's holding people back from starting that or sustaining those small incremental changes?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think a lot of times I just look at my own personal life when I was starting out stuff. A lot of it was just taking action.
Mm.
You know, a lot of times we get so either, well, you know, this really sucks. Doesn't matter what I do. It's not going to make any difference. Or that's hard or overanalyzing. Well, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to study that. I'm going to, and I'm going to study this. And I don't do anything, but boy, I study a lot, right?
Learning a lot and
so,
doing nothing.
Yeah. And so a lot of it is just about doing something. Yeah. Can it be frustrating and take longer than we want or whatever? Yep. Okay. But let's do something. Let's start and let's celebrate that. I talk about people in job transition that it's so easy to focus on the negative. And it's like, yep, I'm getting ghosted. Nobody's getting back to me. I submit all these applications and blah, 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 or get the form letter, you know, thanks, but no thanks. But how about if we look at every week and be mindful about what did I get done this week?
Mhm.
What did I get done?
Right.
Not what didn't happen, that I didn't get a job. Okay. But what did I get done? Well, I tightened up my resume and I had 3 interviews and I had 4 networking meetings and I made some really cool contacts, and let's focus on that.
Yeah.
I train people in job transition. Attitude is such a big deal. So make a blessing list or a list of things that you're happy about. And I started every day in my job transition reading over that list to get myself in a positive mindset. Because if I didn't, I'd go negative.
Exactly.
So, just focus on the positive and take steps doing something.
Yeah, we have control over the spiral. We're either going to spiral down or we're going to spiral up. But you
Amen.
can put into your mind those good thoughts, those affirmations, the blessings, the different things that you are accomplishing, whether it's health or business. Okay, I can't run around the block and do a marathon. What can I do? I can
Yeah.
walk to the end of the driveway. Or
Yeah.
what can I do? I can eat better today. And maybe I can't change my whole diet, but I can remove the soda for the day.
Yeah.
Or to your point, maybe I don't have the MBA yet, but look at all the things that I do have. And there's a couple of resources that I can use as networking to get me into potentially another client. So
Yep.
little things like that can go a long way. But here's the number one thing I think it's all about: consistency. It all comes down to consistency.
Yep.
Somebody gave me a great analogy the other day. I don't remember where I got it from, but he was like, you people, you have these goals, and it's like you getting into the car and you're making a road trip and you're driving from Minnesota to California, and it's going to take 6 days, but 2 days into it, you're like, why am I not at my goal yet? Because it's a 6-day trip that you're not going to get there in 2 days. So you just keep on driving, keep moving, keep taking action. And eventually you'll arrive at your destination, and then you'll have to set another destination. So
yeah, and that's okay too. I talk about goal setting a lot and a lot of things that I do. And a lot of people say, well, what if I set the goal and it doesn't happen? It's like, let's set a new goal. It's okay.
Yeah.
Pivot. That's all right.
And the goal is not the goal. Can I just say that? The goal is not the goal. The goal is not the goal.
That's good.
Yeah. The goal is not the goal. The goal is just the ignition to get you moving.
Yeah. Do something. Like I said, small incremental change, do something. Step forward. And then celebrate small victories. I find that's important too. Not just focus. It's so much easier to focus on the stuff. Well, this didn't happen and that didn't happen, and I'm still doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to do that, but it's so important that we take the time to look for. Sometimes we got to look for them, but look for those small victories and celebrate them, because they should be celebrated.
Exactly.
And that'll just help to foster more.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. There's so many good things here in our conversation, Skip. I could just talk to you forever, but I want to be sensitive to your time, and we're kind of getting to the end of the hour here. Will you please tell our audience a little bit about, I see that beautiful book behind you, Your Business Breakthroughs. Tell us a little bit about where they can get that, and I'll make sure we put all the links in the show notes as well, but tell us about what your offerings are.
Sure. Well, I'm a business coach, so I coach businesses and really help them find profit. For any of your listeners, if you are a business owner and you would like, I will offer for a listener of yours, Lisa, a free profit acceleration analysis. Sit down with your business. I'll take you into the software. We'll block about an hour, do it virtually, and I'll ask you questions specifically about your business, and we'll generate some data, a 14-page written report on place that you can find profit in your business. Super cool. What the software, love to do that for your folks. And I will send you links, Skip Nelson Marketing Solutions, but also for the people, my first book is called Your Business Breakthrough, and it really goes through 12 key strategies that businesses can implement. I kind of say, my tag is I can find $50,000 to $100,000 in any small business without them spending an additional on marketing or advertising. And this is kind of how I do that. So it breaks down these key strategies, and it's actionable stuff that they can utilize in their business. And I'll get a link that you can post, Lisa, that they can get a free digital copy.
Wonderful. That's great. Oh, and I'll tell you, anybody who takes you up on that offer, you are going to enjoy talking with Skip, and he is going to show you insights to your business. Just the joy of meeting with him for an hour will be valuable to your business.
Oh, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun.
It'll be fun. All right. So in closing, maybe just one other question here, because I've known you for so long, my friend, and I know your heart for entrepreneurship and for helping others and for serving and even sacrificial volunteering at Aquatennial and whatnot. If you were able to go back and talk to your 20-year-old self, do you have any advice that you might give yourself way back then for what steps to take differently or what things to do?
That's a great question. And my 20-year-old self, could I have like a month to talk to my 20-year-old self?
We all would need it.
They need, oh my goodness. I would say it is about follow through in anything. I know in a business owner, a lot of times got a lot of good ideas and kind of shiny object. Oh, let's try this and let's try that. And then they don't, I call it in my coaching, I call it the difference between a breakthrough, which I call a breakthrough, it's a big word for me, breakthrough and a break to, right? That we have an idea or whatever, and we kind of start it. We don't really complete it, right? We don't break through. And so for me, it's about breakthroughs. It's about completing things. It's about making sure that we're consistent, to use your word, Lisa. I totally agree that we complete things that we do and we follow through. It's not enough just to have an idea or go to a workshop and be all excited about, but it's important to make sure we're following through. And I found that's a critical element that I wish if I'd done that earlier in my career, I'd be certainly much further. I would have gone further quicker.
Mm.
That it's just so critical to follow through. Obviously, do what we say we're going to do, whatever we do, but to make sure we're following through. And if I had done that, I think that would have saved myself a lot of challenge if I had done that.
Well, that's wonderful advice. And the integrity that you bring to everything is just so encouraging and respectful. We don't see a lot of integrity in business these days. And of the 35 plus years that I've known you, I've never seen you take a step that is not the right step always. So I love your advice to follow through and to stay consistent and to be true to your word. All those things are wonderful recommendations for our listeners. So, well, thank you so much, my friend, for your time today, for making me laugh to the point where I cried 3 or 4 times before we started the conversation. And I hope that we can have you back again sometime.
I would love it. Thank you for all you do, Lisa. The world needs sunshine, and you're the perfect person to bring it.
Thank you, Skip. Have a great day.
You too. See ya.
Bye. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Skip and I just have some fantastic conversations all the time, and they're always pretty fun. He's had some highs and some lows, but I have 11 beautiful takeaways for you today. 1, there are good people out there, my friends. Don't let the media, social programming, or other things tell you otherwise. Yeah, there are bad forces in the world, and there always have been. But there are way more good forces and stronger good forces than bad. And usually, we see the good most vividly during those most challenging times. In those times when we see strangers willing to help strangers in a variety of ways. So just remember, my friends, there is more good out there than you might realize. And while the world has always had bad actors and evil forces, there are a lot of powerful, positive people willing to fight for and stand up for good in this world. And that is so encouraging. Number 2, just do it. When you see your friend, a neighbor, or a colleague in need, Skip reminds us not to ask them if you can help. Find something that you know will be an encouragement, you know will be a help, and just do it for them. Bring a meal over, take care of their lawn mowing, or offer to watch their dog. When people are going through really challenging times, it can be extra hard for those people to reach out and ask for help. So just think of something and do it. Number 3, role models are a critical part of our success and our motivation and drive as human beings. They're sometimes hard to find. It's so worth it at every age. So find those role models for your sons and your daughters. Find someone you admire and want to be more like. Spend time with people who inspire and motivate you. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man or woman sharpens another. So find a good role model. Number 4, people are genetically programmed to serve something. So if you or a loved one is dealing with depression or a lack of zeal for life, try getting out of the house and serve somebody else for a while. Help at a senior home or use those musical talents at your church. Offer to serve in the children's ministry, or maybe do what Skip's doing and volunteer with folks who are in job transition. Helping others will give you a sense of purpose and value as you're doing something to make a difference in the life of another person. Number 5, networking is a game changer. Whether it's a job search or you're building a business, or whether you're a stay-at-home mom building and pouring into successful young future leaders, it's about networking, because you never know. You never know who might be able to help, but you also never know who you might be able to help. And the more people you are connected with, the more chance that you'll have a connection that can help either way. Number 6, remember the potential storm that's sitting there just 2 little inches behind that perpetual smile. There are storms raging 2 inches behind many smiles where they put on a good facade and they're looking great and they look like nothing's wrong, or they post all their great perfect pictures out on Facebook, but just a short space behind those eyes, they're struggling. And they're struggling huge with infertility or a sick child or a job transition or a lack of self-worth. and they just can't get themselves to move forward. Your smile, your encouragement, your inquiry of how they're doing could be exactly what they need. Number 7, faith is a powerhouse through difficult times. Faith has been a critical success factor for Skip. Remember, he said that things didn't unfold the way he imagined they would, but it's been exactly as it should have been. You never know what blessings are just around the corner when you finally turn that corner out of tragedy. Challenges and even tragedy help us grow. And Skip said he learned and grew the most from the worst things that he had been through. Number 8, pay attention and savor the small things. Skip reminds us to be mindful and grateful about all the large and the little blessings that we enjoy every day, especially as parents, but in all aspects of life. Number 9, is your business an unintentional nonprofit? Skip reminds us that if so, that's not where you want to be. Skip has the years of experience to help you save time, to find the small incremental shifts that you can make, to take your unintentional nonprofit business and compound it into real, hard cash. So take a look at the show notes here and take advantage of the offers that Skip is making for my listeners here for free. You've got nothing to lose, my friend, and potentially a lot of money to gain. And if you're not a business builder, you can implement these same principles in your life with your health, parenting, cleaning your home, or encouraging each other. A kind word, a smile to the stranger on the street or in that elevator. For that 1 second, your actions might just compound and result in massive positive change. Number 10, take action. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all of the things that we could do in life. In our work, at home, with travel, with learning, even within our faith. So rather than trying to boil the whole ocean, focus on following through. Take action on something small and complete one small task at a time. And with consistency, those everyday small actions will compound into monumental achievements. Take action. Be consistent. And as Skip says, let's just start, and then let's celebrate that. And finally, number 11, remember that your goal is not necessarily the goal. The goal might change. The initial goal that you set is just that ignition to get you moving. So don't hold so closely to the goal. Hold closely to those small incremental changes you can make every day consistently that will definitely compound into massive change. Thank you so much for listening today or watching my conversation today with Skip Nelson. If you're listening to this podcast, I'll just remind you that you can watch it on YouTube as well, if that's of interest. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please take a moment right now and share it with 2 people that you know could benefit from it. Let's pass on the positivity and create a movement to lift up our friends and our family and colleagues. Also, your reviews help me know what kinds of episodes you're enjoying. So please write a review and let me know how I can focus our topics to help you and encourage you even more. You can also email those ideas to me. Just send a quick email to podcast@lisaroers.com. Thank you for listening and watching today. God bless you, and we'll see you back here next week.